Recently, Blinkit launched a 10-minute ambulance service in India, and it got a lot of attention, and rightly so. In India, health infrastructure is not up to the mark. It's very weird that in India you can get groceries in less than 10 minutes, but ambulances don't arrive on time, and many lives have lost just because ambulances don't arrive as quickly. Small things matter, like giving way to ambulances in a traffic, and traffic jams are anyway a big problem. And we also need a greater awareness. How many of us actually know the health emergency number? And no, it's not 911 in India. While I wish Blinkit all the best for its new initiative, I spoke to Jeetendra Lalwani, co-founder of Dial 4242, to truly understand what it takes to truly build quick ambulance service in India. We also spoke about why large health firms in India haven't been able to address this problem. And of course, how do a startup make money out of this business? I hope you enjoy the conversation.
So, what does it take to build a network of ambulances which is available to users at the shortest time possible?
So, what does it take? I think it takes a lot of grit, lots of determination. Uh, it's the ambulance industry in India is extremely unorganized and unregulated. I'm sure. I think during COVID time, people were paying like 25, 30,000 rupees for a 5 kilometer distance. There were thousands of people who lost their lives because they could not get an ambulance on time. Just to give a simple reference numbers, some factual numbers. In India, it is stated that in 2016, there was a research done in 2016, and I'm sure the numbers would have gone up. That every day 24,000 people died due to delay in emergency in India. Okay, that is the thing. Secondly, if you look at another factual number, every third minute an Indian dies due to road accident. Okay, so the amount of lives which are being lost because there are accidents, because there are heart attack cases, and finally they don't get an ambulance on time. So it's a pretty challenging thing. What it requires in terms of actual things, it requires a well thought over technology. It requires a pool of ambulances because India is such a vast country. Okay, and today, for example, we have 13,000 ambulances on our network, and that's the reason we are able to do our turnaround time in less than 12 minutes. Can we do it better? Yes, we can do it. That's where it is. But what it requires is, in terms of qualities, it requires courage, it requires grit, it requires determination, it requires passion, it requires you're on a mission. It's like saying that the question that you're asking is saying that what does it require to win Pakistan in a battlefield? Okay, you are against an enemy, and what does it require? So if you ask a army general, he'll say that I'll require maybe I'll need guns and all that stuff. But finally, he'll say that what I need is my troops to be having that grit, that determination to fight it till the last moment and get things done. So that is what is required. The same thing for ambulances. One is the tech and the pool of ambulances and the network check, etc., and all that. But more importantly, it is ensuring that that grit and that passion and that determination to save every life in the country. That is the most important.
So, but from what I understand is that it will require a lot of huge infrastructure level logistics, especially, and I think I'm sure you need a lot of capital to start something like this as well, right?
So, for example, BLS ambulance would cost you around 12 to 15 lakhs rupees. Okay. Secondly, this is just the one-time cost of buying the ambulances. ALS ambulances will go between 30 to 40 lakhs rupees based on the equipments you're adding into it. Okay. Now, so one is the overhead cost, and secondly, then you have a day-to-day in terms of driver salaries, paramedic salaries. So unlike a cab services, this is a high capex as well as high overhead kind of thing. And in a cab industry, for example, someone who is not from the medical field can just get into it and start a business, which is not the case in ambulances. Okay, so yes, you're right about it. It requires a huge amount of capital involvement, and not only capital involvement at the initial stage, but on a daily, on a monthly stage or whatever, it is, on a regular scenario. So that is what is required. Uh, and so in infrastructure logistics wise, look, the problem with the ambulances is that all these ambulances, they are like that honeybee which are surrounding the hospitals. They're mostly located nearby the hospitals because majority of the business they till now or till few years back was coming from the hospitals. Okay, almost 95 to in fact 100% of the business. So they were mostly stationed outside the hospitals, which is changing right now. Okay, but it requires definitely a huge change in that thing, and that's one of the reasons. For example, an ambulance overall turnaround time, if you look at it on an all India level, on a government 108 ambulance, is roughly around 40 minutes. Okay, and in that, lives could be lost. So that is in terms of the logistical issue, and that is what we're trying to change with Dial 4242. We are building a technology which can detect the nearest ambulance and dispatch to you. Secondly, we are also using hotspots, data mapping to ensure that there are certain ambulances located at strategic locations so that whenever we get a request, we can dispatch those ambulances and it can reach the user at the quickest time possible. That is the thing. Thirdly, if you look at in terms of infrastructure, there is a lot of investment that has to be done in terms of technology also. Okay, and technology, when I say, for example, today in India, people are not courteous enough to make a way for ambulances. In fact, it's the other way around. When an ambulance is going through, people will follow that ambulances so that they can reach faster. People, in fact, don't make way for an ambulance, but in fact, follow the ambulance from back so that they can reach their destination faster. And that is an unfortunate part in India. And I've not seen it like once, I've seen it multiple times that people are misusing ambulances. And that, again, is how do I say, a mindset change which has to happen. But more in terms of infrastructure, for example, there are technologies available where road signal can detect an ambulances and change the signal sign. So if it is a red sign, it can become green and make way for an ambulances, which unfortunately India is not yet implemented. That is one thing. Secondly, also in terms of ambulances today, the technology which are there in a lot of foreign countries is much more advanced. How they are using in terms of real-time data transfer from the ambulances to the hospital, which we have started implementing in Dial 4242. Okay. But there are a lot of things which can be implemented in India in terms of technology and overall infrastructure, which is lacking right now at the government level, as well as I would say even at the individual mindset level. That's where it is.
The next thing which comes, like, why does India need, why there is a need for a quick ambulance services, and I really want to understand what is the gap in the conventional system. As you mentioned, as a lot of things you mentioned, like, there are, it takes roughly 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and oh, it's a genuine thing which I kind of wanted to understand is like why large scale health forms, hospital chains are not doing it. Why they are not being able, why they have not succeeded in doing so far.
Take your question one by one. First question was why does India needs a quick ambulance services? So let me answer that. I think I've given you some fact that in India, 24,000 people die daily due to delay. Every third minute, an Indian dies in road accident. The number of heart attack cases where people are dying is increasing on a very alarming. If you look at Indian roads and Indian infrastructure, look at the roads full of traffic. Secondly, the Indians don't follow traffic rules. Okay, we will go by the other side. We will obstruct things. We will get into a fight on roadside. There is not enough control by police or local authorities on this. Overall, if you look at Mumbai right now as a city, it is dug up everywhere. There is no space. Secondly, a lot of roads are also very narrow. Okay, so even an ambulance can't get into it. Now, all this definitely calls for a quick ambulance services because let me ask you a counter question. Why did you need a 10-minute grocery delivery? Does your life change in 10-minute grocery delivery? No. Today you have a 10 minutes ball delivery where you're getting actual food items which might be dangerous and hazardous for your health. Then it is becoming a big news. Okay. And it is in fact impacting one's health today and the young, especially the young generation. So the question should never be why India needs a 10 minutes quick ambulance. India definitely needs a quick ambulance. If you look at all countries abroad, the turnaround time is much, much faster. That is the thing. In fact, majority of the countries, the ambulances is managed by the government network. In India, because of the vastness and because limited investment in terms of healthcare by government, there is a big need for a private ambulance network which can deploy. Okay, that's where it is. And today, again, India has advanced a lot. Our per capita income has increased a lot. But like for example, if you remember, there was this 2 weeks, 3 weeks back, there was a CEO who was traveling in a Range Rover in Bangalore, and he met with an accident. It was a 1 CR car, supposed to be bulletproof and all that, but he ultimately lost his life. I think a month back, there was an incident where seven teenagers in Dehradun were crushed badly. You know, that video was so bad that you can't even see it.
Okay.
An artist like KK lost his life because there was no ambulance at the event where he was performing. He got an heart attack and he did not got any ambulance. The question should never be why is it should be why we need an ambulance. The question should be why do we need a 10 minutes grocery delivery? Why should we need a 10 minutes food delivery? I can wait for that. It is not a matter of life and death. But can I wait for an ambulance when I need it the most? No, I can't. The question should be it should not be a question. It should be yes, we need it, and there should be in fact a movement towards that. And thankfully, with players like Blinkit coming into this, it actually becomes a talking point and makes a lot of people talk about the ambulance services. So I think more players coming into this, more discussion around this, more talks around this is only going to be beneficial for the entire ambulance services, healthcare services, and ultimately saving millions of lives.
And so for the one of the supplementary question was that why large scale existing health pharma players have not been able to provide so far, because they already are like cash rich, right?
There were a few players like Apollo tried it in the past. That's where it is. But I think when you are especially a large business house, you always look at your P&L, you always look at where money is coming. And there is a combination of short term as well as a long term. Now, if you look at any major business giant, they have multiple things into their offerings, right? They would have their own hospitals and all that stuff. And they will look at, okay, this chain is giving me a much better revenue, much better increment and all that stuff. And let's focus on that. That is one thing. Secondly, till COVID, ambulance as a word did not exist in the mind of Indian consumers. Okay. In fact, ambulance was considered a negative word. Like I used to know that people will not save an ambulance number in their phone because they think that if I save an ambulance number, मुझे शायद ambulance बुलानी पड़ेगी. Okay. That was the kind of perception people had. It is changing. It is slowly changing. It is still requires a lot of awareness, a lot of discussion. That's where it is. So that's another reason where I think the awareness of ambulance has to increase. That's where it is. Uh, for the big ones, I think they have a lot of other focuses. That's where it is, and they think that how should I also what I think is that especially the bigger ones of hospitals and all that stuff, they are not tech focused. Okay. They if you look at even the hospital, and if you look at even healthcare overall thing, the kind of rapid advancement which should happen in healthcare has not happened. Okay. Unfortunately, in India, and that I think so slowly it's changing. It requires a lot of change, but that's the reasons why I think nobody has made a mark. And lastly, like I said, I think that grit and passion and determination to make it happen. Sometimes we start a business. Just for you to understand, I started this because I lost my own dad due to availability of ambulances. In 2016, he was in his last stage. I had to call ambulances regularly for him. And the day he got an heart attack, the ambulance, instead of reaching my home, reached the hospital. And dad lost his life. Now, that was a big setback for me. Dad was very, very close to me. Uh, just to give an example, I failed in my second year of college and dad did not utter a single word. In fact, broke his fixed deposit, gave me money so that I could do my studies. So that is the kind of support I had from dad. And losing him was a big shock in such a manner. And I think if you ask me, sometimes even I'm a middle class person. And sometimes the question came into my mind also when I am not able to take salaries for a long time. Am I doing something sensible? Okay. Today I'm married, I have kids, and question always comes into your mind, ki, am I doing sensible? But then I remember the story of my dad, how I lost him, how close he was to him. And I've seen other stories also, especially COVID time, where people lost of thousands of life and lost their close ones. And I think that saving one life itself gives you that kick, which makes you go on. So that's where it is. So all these reasons contribute why some players have continued with service and some players have just went away from this.
So I'm sure for a startup, and as you said, like it, from what I understand, it requires capital, it requires a lot of effort. So what are the ethical considerations? What are the business models a company should, like a startup should look, where it can monetize it as well, and also not like how do you make money from this? How do you make it a profitable business, if at all we can call it a business? Because for a long time in India we have always thought like education, shiksha, swasthya, this is something, it should be like ultra affordable, but at the same time, how does a startup make money out of it?
So business model has to be looked into it. Okay. Today, if you look at it, so we are partnering with insurance companies. And let me put it this way, why it is beneficial for insurance companies. So today, if a user who is medically covered in terms of insurance reaches hospital in time, he gets the best quality treatment. His medical cost comes down, right? And finally, the advantage of that comes to mediclaim companies because their over mediclaim cost will be lower, right? It is the user is not at loss or gain. Yes, he has to go through the hospital pain. Yes, goes to the medical things that he has to do, but at least it saves on his cost because he has a mediclaim. And finally, the hit is taken by the insurance company. So now we are partnering with the insurance company and ensuring that key the user reaches the hospital in the fastest turnaround time and he gets the best quality treatment. The second thing is that if you look at it, uh, overall, if you look at the ambulances, can there be a CSR initiative behind? Can companies like the Tata's Group, the Reliance, the world's Adanis of the world come say and say that okay, there is a need for investment into the emergency scenario in India, and can they do it as a CSR? Like there have been cases of poor kids. There was a case of a 6-year-old boy lifting his 2-year-old younger brother's dead body and walking for almost 50 kilometers in Bihar. Uh, and he couldn't afford, forget about the ambulances, he couldn't even afford a auto rickshaw or a bullock cart. That's where it is. So this has to be changed, and that's where the bigger companies have to come in. And CSR is another way where startups like Dial 4242 can make an impact and at the same time save lives. Uh, the third, I would say that if you look at it, the concept of ambulances in India is still very backdated or in a backward school kind of a thing. The entire thing is that today every Indian should save an ambulance number. And the first thing that like हम अपने स्कूल में बच्चों को सिखाते हैं, it should start from the elementary school. Go and ask school, the children should save it, their parents should save it, their grandparents should save it. That should made compulsory. That is the thing. Okay. Bollywood uses 911 in every of their movies. Bollywood has to understand that it's not 911 in India. Okay, that is the thing. So Bollywood has also needs to, and it's a big thing too. Bollywood is big enough to bring about a change in it. That is the thing. Other ways of being profitable or making it viable. Uh, if you look at it right now, perception is that the ambulances in India in terms of count is lower. I'm not saying it is lower or real, but there are enough ambulances. They have to be strategically deployed, use technology so that it reaches in time. Once, as an Indian, we because we there is so much. If you look at social media, there is so much amount of buzz when people will tweet Uber, Ola, "Arey, the cab was pathetic. It did not come on time," and all that stuff. Or, for example, if they are happy with the services, they will also talk about it. Or even in terms of 10-minute food delivery and all that stuff, they will talk about it. There will be millions of tweets on 10 minutes delivery and cab services. But is there a discussion happening on ambulance services? Okay, today I got this wonderful services. Let me talk about it. Let me go and talk about it. More people need to talk about it. That is the thing. So that will bring about a change where people will start taking ambulance services seriously. That's how it is. So one is going to the insurance side of the business. Today we have a model where even on a retail level, we are making ambulance affordable at a very low. There are two things, reasons why Indians don't are not able to get ambulances. One is they don't have an ambulance number saved, so awareness is a problem. Secondly, they can't afford an ambulance. Today, for example, a basic life support ambulance will start from 1,500 rupees. A cardiac will go to 3,500 to 4,000. So they compare it with cats, and that's how they are not able to do it. Okay. So they can't afford an ambulances in a lot of cases. That is the thing. So we have devised a membership plan via which they can get an ambulance at a very low. That is the thing. Third, the accessibility part. So a lot of Indians think that an ambulance will take half an hour, 1 hour, 45 minutes to reach. So they don't wait for it. They just get into their cab and move forward. If today people know about dial 424 or other ambulance services also, that an ambulance can reach to them in a 10 to 12 minutes. And again, on dial 424, we actually take a penalty if there is a delay in TAT. So we are the only ambulance player. If there is a delay in TAT that we have promised, we take a penalty. That is what we do. Now, this is the kind of services that people should be aware of. So, in simple words, awareness, accessibility, and availability, and affordability. Sorry, that is what I would say. The awareness, accessibility, and affordability. These are the three A's which every Indian, if we are able to build upon this, then the entire model is affordable, it's highly profitable, and sustainable. That is what I would say.
Last question which I really wanted to ask was like, in urban areas we see that we get ambulances, hospitals are nearby and everything, right? But if you go to smaller towns where the hospitals are little farther, if you go even remote areas in this country, the distance between your home to hospital are even far. So what should be done to cater to those kind of people? And like, is this something on the cards for you as well?
Uh, yes, definitely there is, because, for example, today we are not just saying that we are the top cities ambulance network. We are saying that we are a pan-India network. Like we have a presence at 856 cities. Today, when we sign up, our primary business is on the B2B model right now. When we sign up with a corporate, we say that we will support you across all these 856 cities in a defined turnaround time, or we take a penalty. Uh, when we have clients like today, we support clients like Zomato, Swiggy, Amazon in case their delivery partners meet with an accident, and our turnaround time has been less than 12. So we are expanding our network. When we partner with insurance company, there is also a clause that you need to expand our network because insurance is present everywhere, and so is delivery kind of a thing. So we are expanding our network, we're expanding our reach. Uh, Again, I would say ultimately it lies in the hands of Indian consumers. They need to make talk about ambulances. Okay, a tier two, tier three town, a rural person will not be able to even afford an ambulances. That is one thing. Will not have an awareness of how to call an ambulances. That is another thing. So that outreach has to be done. That awareness has to be done to change the mindset. Again, like I said, can CSR be used to make ambulances free for the rural people? Because one is they are, even if to drive awareness, there has to be certain programs done, certain initiatives done. Okay, and that has to be done, and make ambulances. Yes, there is a way to call for an ambulances. For example, we won the Maharashtra Startup Innovation Award. So I had gone to a location called Chandrapur in Maharashtra, and I met an IAS officer there. So she said that they have good amount of government ambulances, but the poor people don't even know how to call that ambulance because they are uneducated, they are not aware of all this. That's where it, and that's where a change is needed. Like for example, we had a change in education. We had a change of, like, if you look at the concept of uh, cigarette smoking, okay, or tobacco smoking, there was a constant advertisement done, bombardment done by the government, and it has brought about a certain change. In that ways, the government has to take certain initiatives. It cannot be a startup saying that, okay, I will change the entire mindset of India. It is not. I would love to do that, but technically and practically, it is not feasible. I think the government has to take certain steps where they partner with startups like this and look at initiatives which can drive the change, whether it is urban or rural. If you look at urban right now, so many accidents happen because of breaking the rules, traffic violations, etc. In our rural, the problem is different. There is no ambulance accessibility for 20 kilometers. They don't know how to call an ambulance. They don't even know whether an ambulance as a word exists in their dictionary. Okay, they would say that हमारे गाड़ी में लेके बिठा के चलो, हमें जल्दी पहुंच जाएगी. So that awareness education has to be done, and it cannot be one single startup and it cannot be even one single company. It has to be government. It has to be private companies, huge bodies like Tata's, Adani's, Ambani's coming together, startups like us coming together, and bringing about a change. So it cannot happen saying that yes, I want to do this. No, it's not a magic wand. It requires a lot of efforts and requires everyone coming together. That's what I would say.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for your insights. It was very helpful.
I hope you learned a lot about health and also about ambulance services in India. If you like the video, if you learned something out of it, please like this video and share the word. Thank you so much.